Screech. The sound of hard stone dragging across metal echoed from my open garage. My blood ran cold. I dropped my coffee mug. It shattered against the kitchen tiles, splashing hot liquid everywhere, and sprinted outside. What I saw in the garage made my knees buckle. My aunt's two little kids, Braden, 7, and Kyle, 6, were standing right on top of the hood of my fully restored 1967 Ford Mustang, and in their little hands were jagged, white landscaping rocks they had dug out of my front flower beds. They were pressing their entire body weight down, dragging the sharp stones across the flawless, $15,000 custom cherry red paint job. Hey, get OFF. Get off. I roared, my voice cracking with sheer panic. I rushed forward, grabbed the boys by their waists, and yanked them off the car, setting them roughly onto the concrete floor. I turned back to the Mustang, and I felt a physical pain in my chest, like I was having a heart attack. This wasn't just a car. This was my late father's car. I had spent the last 5 years and over $60,000 bringing it back from a rusted shell to a concourse-level show car. I had spent countless nights crying in this garage, sanding panels by hand, feeling like I was spending one last afternoon with my dad. Now, the hood looked like a war zone. A massive, jagged circle was carved into the center of the hood, with lines radiating outward, tearing through the glass-like ceramic coating, slicing through the deep cherry red base coat, cutting past the gray primer, and biting right down into the shiny bare steel of the 1967 sheet metal. White dust, the pulverized remains of my clear coat, covered the windshield. "Look, Uncle OP." Kyle beamed, pointing at the driver's side door with his rock. "We made a treasure map. The big X is where the pirate gold is." I looked at the door. A massive X was gouged from the window line down to the rocker panel. It was so deep the edges of the metal were curled. What is all the yelling out here? My aunt, Linda, strolled out of the house holding a cup of herbal tea. She looked completely unbothered. She was visiting for the weekend, and I had stupidly left the garage door open while I went inside to grab my morning coffee. "Linda, look at my car." I screamed, my hands shaking so violently I had to clench them into fists. They destroyed my car. They carved it with rocks. Linda sighed, taking a sip of her tea. "Oh, Opie, stop being so dramatic. You're scaring the boys. Look, Braden is crying." "I don't care if he's crying," I yelled, pointing at the bare steel shining through the red paint. "This is a custom $15,000 paint job. It's ruined. It's down to the bare metal." Linda rolled her eyes and walked over, rubbing a wet thumb over the massive, jagged X on the door, as if spit would magically heal a half-inch gouge in steel. "It's just an old car, OP," she said dismissively. "You keep it locked up in here anyway. It's not like you drive it to work. Kids will be kids. They were just playing pirates. Just get a wet rag and wipe the dust off, and maybe get one of those little touch-up pens from AutoZone. It's really not a big deal." A touch-up pen. I stared at her, my vision literally tunneling with rage. This is a show car. You can't touch up a scratch that goes down to the steel. The entire car has to be stripped and repainted so the metallic flakes match. "Well, that sounds like a you problem," Linda huffed, grabbing the boy's hands. "I'm not going to let you scream at my children over a piece of metal. You value things too much. Come on, boys, let's go watch cartoons." She turned her back on me and walked inside, completely unfazed by the catastrophic destruction of my father's legacy. She thought it was just a toy. She thought I was going to use a $9 paint pen. I didn't grab a wet rag. I grabbed my phone, and I called my auto insurance and my custom body shop. She was about to find out exactly how much playing pirates costs. My hands were shaking so violently I had to lean against my workbench just to stay upright. After I pulled the boys off the hood, my eyes adjusted to the glare of the garage lights. It was a complete massacre. The damage wasn't just on the hood and the driver's door. They had taken their jagged white landscaping rocks on a full tour of the vehicle. The front fenders were covered in looping, chaotic swirls. The trunk lid had what looked like a crude skull and crossbones gouged into it. White dust from my pulverized clear coat coated the entire rear bumper. They had dragged the stones so hard that curls of bare steel were actually peeling up from the paneling. What on earth is all that screaming? My aunt, Linda, marched out of the house, her face pulled into a tight scowl. She pulled Braden and Kyle behind her legs, glaring at me like I was a monster. "You are terrifying my angels." I could hear you yelling from the guest bedroom. "Your angels just destroyed $60,000 worth of work." I screamed, pointing at the catastrophic damage covering the 1967 Mustang. "Look at my car. Look what they did." Linda finally looked at the car. She blinked, her expression barely changing. She didn't gasp. She didn't apologize. She actually let out a long, exasperated sigh. "Oh, calm down, OP," she said, waving her hand dismissively. "They are just drawing treasure maps. They've been obsessed with pirates all week. They were just playing and being creative." Creative. I felt the blood pounding in my ears. "Linda, they used rocks. They carved through 3 layers of custom cherry red paint straight down to the 1960s sheet metal. The metal is permanently gouged." "It's just an old, loud car anyway," she scoffed, crossing her arms. You act like it's a Ferrari. It's a Ford. If you care so much, just go to the hardware store and buy some red spray paint and spray over it. It'll look fine. You're making a mountain out of a molehill to traumatize my kids. Spray paint. I laughed, a harsh, manic sound that echoed in the garage. You want me to take a rattle can of Rust-Oleum to a show-quality classic? This is a custom, tree-coat metallic paint job. You can't just touch up a metallic flake. Because they hit the hood, the doors, and the fenders, the entire car has to be stripped down to the frame and completely repainted so the color matches. This is a $15,000 paint job. You spent $15,000 on paint. Linda stared at me with pure disgust. Don't be so materialistic, OP. That is a disgusting waste of money. It's just a thing. It's a piece of metal. You should care more about your living, breathing nephews than a stupid toy. This isn't a toy. I roared. This was my dad's car. Your brother's car. I spent 5 years restoring it for him. My brother is dead, she said coldly. The boys are alive. Stop acting like a psychopath over a car you never even drive. I don't drive it because I take it to shows. I stepped toward her. You are paying for this. Every single cent. I am not paying a dime, she snapped, pulling the boys toward the door leading inside. If you're dumb enough to leave a precious museum piece in an open garage where children play, that's your fault. We are leaving. I'm not staying in a house with someone so financially and emotionally unstable. Good, I said, my voice dropping to a dead, icy whisper. Pack your bags. Because my next call isn't to a therapist. It's to the police. She paused, looking over her shoulder. She thought I was bluffing. She gave a smug little laugh and walked inside. I didn't bluff. I took a deep breath, pulled out my phone, and dialed non-emergency dispatch. The police arrived 20 minutes later. Linda was absolutely appalled that I had actually called them on her angels. The officers took one look at the gouged metal, the rocks on the floor, and the kids' dusty hands, and wrote up a full vandalism and destruction of property report. Linda packed her bags and dragged the boys to her SUV, screaming that I was dead to her and that she would never speak to me again. Good. I yelled from the driveway. Because my lawyer will be doing the talking. On Monday morning, I carefully loaded the Mustang into an enclosed trailer and hauled it to Apex Custom Classics, the high-end restoration shop that had done the original paint job. The owner, Mike, a guy who lived and breathed vintage Fords, came out to the lot. When he saw the hood, he actually took off his baseball cap and rubbed his face. He looked like he was going to be sick. They went right through the primer, OP, Mike said, running a gloved finger over the deep X on the door. They dug right into the 1960 steel. The metal itself is curled. Can we just blend the panels? I asked, already dreading the answer. Mike shook his head. Not on a show car. Not with a tree-coat metallic cherry red. The metallic flakes have to lay down in the exact same direction, under the exact same temperature and pressure. If I just spray the hood and the left side, it will look like a patchwork quilt in the sunlight. To keep it concourse quality, the entire car has to be stripped back down to bare metal. We have to hammer and fill these gouges, reblock the whole body to get it perfectly straight, and paint the entire car all over again. 2 days later, Mike emailed me the official invoice. Tear down, strip, bodywork, and full custom repaint, $15,400. The invoice. I forwarded the quote, along with the police report, directly to Linda's email with a formal demand letter. She called me less than 10 minutes later. You are clinically insane. Linda shrieked into the phone, laughing hysterically. $15,000 for a paint job. I called my mechanic, and he said Mako can paint a whole car for $500. You are trying to scam me to fund your little hobby. I am not paying you a single cent. Take me to court, you greedy psychopath. She hung up and blocked my number. The court case. I didn't take her to small claims. The damages exceeded the limit in my state, so I hired an attorney and filed a lawsuit in civil court for property damage and legal fees. We went to trial 8 months later. Linda showed up acting like the victim, bringing a printed out coupon for a $499 budget paint special from a local strip mall auto shop. Your Honor, Linda testified, glaring at me. He is trying to extort a single mother. It was a few scratches. He can use this coupon. He doesn't need a luxury paint job for an old car. My lawyer calmly presented the judge with the official appraisal of the Mustang, valuing it at $85,000 due to its flawless, original spec restoration. We presented Mike's expert testimony regarding metallic paint matching. We presented the police report. The judge looked at Linda's $499 coupon, then looked at the photos of the bare steel gouged into the classic car. The judge said sternly, you do not get to destroy a museum-quality piece of automotive history and then dictate that it be repaired with budget materials. You are responsible for making the plaintiff whole. Your negligence in supervising your children caused catastrophic damage to a highly valuable asset. The verdict. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $15,400, plus attorney's fees. Linda's smug face completely collapsed. She started hyperventilating in the courtroom, screaming that I was taking food out of her children's mouths. The aftermath. She refused to pay voluntarily. My lawyer placed a lien on her house and garnished her wages. It's an agonizingly slow process, but a chunk of her paycheck goes straight to my body shop every month. The Mustang spent another 6 months in the shop, but Mike worked his magic. It is cherry red, metallic, and flawless once again. Linda is banned from family gatherings, and my dad's car is finally safe. And this time, it stays under a locked car cover, behind a reinforced garage door.